IP, IP,
IP,
IP, IP,
IP,
IP, IP. Welcome to IP series, home to all things IP related, where I give you the stories, tips, and implications to business and creative decision concerning your intangible assets with real life case study. I am your host, Rita Anri Chinda. Subscribe and turn on your notification so you don't miss an episode. Cheers, guys.
On today's episode, we will be looking at the interplay between fandom and intellectual property with our case study examining the role of K-pop or Korean pop fans in content creation and sharing. I'm sure a lot of us have been seeing a lot of Korean content trending on our timeline, from clips from series, music. I think the current one that's buzzing now is the My Demon challenge, especially with regards to the costuming of Duduhei, who is like the lead character. But then K-pop has become a global phenomenon that has attracted millions of fans from different countries and culture. These fans are not only consumers, they are also producers of fan-made content such as fan art, fan fiction, fan videos, fan translations. These fans' work are expressions of love, creativity, and community. But they also raise very pertinent questions about intellectual property and the legal right that these creators have over their original works, if they meet the eligibility requirements depending on the jurisdiction that the work may have been churned out from, how the K-pop fans navigate the boundaries between inspiration, infringement, paying homage, sharing and stealing. How do they balance all of these interests and those of the original creators, the K-pop artists, their companies, their agencies? How do they deal with the risk and responsibility of being part of a global fan culture? Now, these are some of the topics that we will explore in this podcast with the help of Anna. So if you're curious to learn about the world of fandom and intellectual property, stay tuned and listen to our conversation.
Following you for a bit, and I see how passionate you are about K-pop and the fusion of it. So I wanted to come and talk about it on my podcast and get to give my listeners more insight into this, because I'm based in Nigeria. This what K-pop has done is something that we are yet to hack. So I'm hoping that with this episode we'll be able to achieve that and get people to be interested in this commercialization prospect.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, pleasure is all mine. I this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, so it would be very nice.
Anna to IP series. Please, can you kindly introduce yourself and tell us where you're based?
Sure. First of all, thank you again, Rita, for inviting me to talk about something that I'm so passionate about. My name is Ana Clara Ribeiro. I am an intellectual property attorney, a writer, researcher, and consultant in Brazil. I practice intellectual property law in Brazil. My practice is focused on creative industries, but I am thankful to be able to combine my work and research in intellectual property with other skills and passions that I have, such as marketing and writing. Recently, I started researching IP strategies in the music industry with a focus on K-pop and fandom. I really like K-pop. I write about K-pop for international music outlets for about 7 years. So basically, my work revolves around providing legal and consultancy services for companies in the field of music, marketing, and entertainment. And writing about music, writing about what I find in my research about cultural trends, consumer trends, and how they reflect in marketing and IP practices.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure speaking to you. And I didn't know you were based in Brazil. I thought you were based in the US. But I'm happy
Yes,
speaking.
I am.
Okay, then. So my first question to you today would be, what is fandom and how does it relate to intellectual property?
Okay, so fandom is a general word that we use to describe communities of fans. We can also call these communities fan bases, or better yet, call them by their names because a fan base usually has its own name. Like the Harry Potter
Mm-hmm.
fans are Potterheads, BTS fans are Army, Taylor Swift fans are Swifties, and so it goes. But when we say fandom, we're referring to this culture of creating a community around one common interest, generally in entertainment, that is, music, movies, comics, books, games, sports. And the reason fandom is a topic of interest for intellectual property is that fans engage with IPs all the time. The very act of joining a fan, becoming a fan, starts with interacting with E. Like when you watch a movie, when you listen to a song, when you learn a lyric, when you buy a song digitally, and it doesn't stop there. A fan may want to engage with that IP in many other ways, not only by consuming the products, but even in more in active ways, in creative ways, like when a fan creates a new intellectual property inspired by the person or the work of art or entertainment that they are fan of.
Interesting. So I know you mentioned Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift, so I'll say I am a
Oh,
Swiftie.
nice. Are
Don't
you
know much
nice?
about
Cool.
don't know much about BTS, but they've been all over the social media. I don't know, there's just something fascinating about armies. But how do fans now create and consume and share content based on their favorite stories, characters, basically just build around a world idol per se?
Yeah, fans have many ways of creating and interacting with work and content from their favorite people, their favorite things, such as creating fan art, writing fan fiction, wearing costumes from their favorite fictional characters, which you call cosplay, making fan edits like videos and remixes and musical remixes, and even creating items, products to wear, to sell, to decorate their rooms, creating fan projects for community engagement or even for promotions. Nowadays, we have fans developing their own marketing strategies to promote their idols. So that is a major motivation for fans to create and share content too. The possibilities
Hmm.
are endless. It all comes from a desire to engage with what you like, the person that you're a fan of, and fans can get very creative when they want to do that.
So I think one time I was scrolling on a Marvel movie trailer. So it was basically about Iron Man's daughter. She's now an adult and wants to take after. So I went to the comment section looking for all the platforms to say, oh, that should do something about it. And I was amazed and also, intrigued at how fans can basically just be also creative in their own world. So in all of this conversation, what would you now say are the benefits challenge engaging with fandom as a business person?
Fans are, I would say, fans are very strong presence online and in social media. So I can see why brands may want to tap into this audience. And there are indeed many successful cases of brands engaging with fandom, be it through collaborating with artists and developing special products or having social media strategies aimed at fandom. But there has to be a natural connection between that community or the artist or the thing that you're a fan of, what you do. Otherwise, it's just gonna look like you're trying to desperately to insert yourself in a conversation that you don't belong to, and that's gonna cause rejection. I wrote an article in 2018 called "When Brands and Stands Meet: How Brands Can Be Successful on Stan Twitter," and I
Okay.
emphasize the importance of how important it is to choose well the fandom that you want to interact with and understanding that fandom culture before connecting with it. So understanding what the culture is about, do those values, that message align with your brand? Is that audience right for you? because every community, every fandom has its own culture, has its own way of being, its own demographic as well. So I can say the biggest benefit for a brand when there's a good opportunity to connect with a fandom is that you gain passionate audience that is more likely to consume your brand and continue to elevate your digital presence. For another side, I would say that the challenge is exactly identifying these opportunities and using them in a way that will add something to your brand rather than just getting one random viral moment or being rejected by the audience in the process of trying to get that, which is worse. From another perspective, if you're talking about building and maintaining your own fan base as a creator, that's not easy either. It can take a lot of work to build a community of people who support your work and are ready to support you whenever you put out new work. Keeping it is even harder because it requires continuous effort. And so it's about identifying or creating new opportunities to enhance your connection with the fans in a way that is good for your brand, but also feels natural to that relationship, because it is a form of relationship, right, between fan and idol. So I would say that the biggest challenge for a creator to engage with their fans is nurturing this bond that is so strictly emotional. It can be very personal, but is also a business. So it's a very delicate balancing, knowing what your fans want, giving them what they want, getting money with that, but not taking advantage of how your fans feel, not making them feel like their loyalty is being exploited, right?
Okay. So I used to think that with the digital age, I mean, with social media platform, it will be easier for creators to actually, build their fan base. But I see that a lot of work has to go into all of this. And with that, how would you then say, how can creatives use fandom culture to grow their audience, generate income, build loyalty in the digital era? And also in relation to due diligence, especially when fans are trying so hard not to pass off, but then it might end up becoming like a big IP issue at the end of the day.
Yeah, when we say fandom culture, when we say fan or fandom instead of consumer or buyer audience, we're talking about something that's deeper than just commerce, right? It's about having consumers who are also interested in you as a person. They connect with your art and your content on a personal level. They become interested in keeping up with the things you do, and they may want to mean something to you just like you mean to them. That's why having a loyal fan base is the dream for pretty much every creator, because that's what's going to let them continue to put out work that they love to do, right? So as a creator who wants to build a community of fans rather than just buyers, you need to build a very distinctive and authentic brand for yourself. You gotta really provide a unique experience that will resonate with people with a similar vibe. I can't really find a better word than that. Each artist and each film has their own vibe. And when it comes to to business, to grow an audience and sources of income from that, you may need to make organic efforts, but also have some strategy, right? It requires understanding who your audience is, where are they. It is a very recent phenomenon that artists get to know their fans and even gather and own data about these fans instead of just interacting with them randomly as if they're like a faceless, homogeneous crowd. So once you know who your fans are, you're able to develop better products and strategies to interact with them and strengthen your connection with them, and make sure you're making the right choices when it comes to everything from channels to distribution to pricing to IP and everything else. Not sure if that
Wow.
answers your question, but
Yeah, it does. It does. It's amazing. Especially so, I think within the last 2 or 3 weeks, everyone has been yapping about Spotify Wrapped, and you made mention of how creators might want to take advantage of the data they might get from their fans, just be able to build their profile and all that. But in all of these conversations, where do you see what are like the legal and ethical issues that arise from fandom and intellectual property?
great question. I think the first challenging aspect of fandom when it comes to IP is obviously how fans engage with content and works that are protected by IP, which are usually copyrighted work or trademarks, right? So for any use of a work that is protected by IP, you need to have permission from the rights holders. And that doesn't always happen when a fan wants to use a song or a video or a photo, right? So
Mhm.
some uses may fall under the concept of fair use. And in this case, it would not be considered an infringement of copyrights. But whether something constitutes fair use or not can be highly subjective, and understandings may change depending on the laws of each place, and
Mm.
especially when there's money involved. So it's one thing when a fan creates, let's say, a new version of a song of the artist they like and they just share with other fans in a private space. But it's a different thing when they upload this track to a streaming platform, for example, and monetizes it. In this case, it would hardly
Mm.
be possible to defend that use as fair use, right? So,
Yeah.
and when we're talking about names or the image of a person, there's another legal issue involved, which are personality rights or publicity rights, which is not IP per se, legally speaking, but it's also a type of use that requires authorization. So there are all of these things involved that it's not always taken in consideration in practice when people are interacting online. But yeah, legally speaking, that's it. You always need authorization to use those works, those contents.
Fantastic. So it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you came across the SpongeBob case last year, where some fans of the creator or the writer of SpongeBob decided to create like a whole new movie, and the distribution companies were not having it, and they had to do like a takedown notice on YouTube. It was a big issue. People started questioning and saying a lot of things on social media. But you then protect your rights and respect the rights of others, especially when creating and using fan content.
Yeah, I'd say there are two layers of IP that we can talk about when it comes to work created by fans that use this IP protected work. First, the IP rights for that original work, right? For that name, that song, that movie, that book that you're engaging with. So if you're using clips of your idol to make a new video, you're using material that is protected by copyrights. If you're using your idol's name in your fan business, you may be using a name that is registered as a trademark. So, will it always end up badly? I don't know. There's no way to say that. It will all depend on if and how the rights holders will take any action. So, of course, each case is unique. But in general, fans just need to be mindful that if they're acting upon a pre existing work, someone knows rights over that work, unless it's a work that it's already in the public domain, right? So
Mm.
unless copyright has expired, which to be honest would hardly be the case in pop culture fandoms, or unless you have authorization, the use of the work may be infringing copyrights. So this is one layer, but the second layer in this discussion is when we're talking about the rights of the fan that created the work, like the fan generated work, fan created work. If you're a fan
Okay.
that and you're drawing or painting or doing graphic design or writing, you own the
Mm.
copyrights for the piece, right? So
Okay.
using or using or sharing or printing fan art, fan fiction can be a violation of the fan's copyright. So I often see fans uploading or sharing or using art and other works made by other fans, and they think it's okay just because the fan artists share it on their own social media. And it's not exactly like that. Just because it was made by a fellow fan and they posted and you saved it to your phone, it doesn't mean you can do
Mm.
whatever you want with that work. The fan artist owns the rights over that work, right? So
Mm.
some fan artists expressly add guidelines in their social media as to which types of use of their work are permitted. So that's something to look for.
Yeah.
In general, when it comes to fans sharing or using works or content made by other fans, it is always recommended to make sure you are respecting the rights of that creator. I would say this is both an IP rule and a community ethical rule for any fandom to stay a healthy place and enjoyable space for everyone.
Okay. So I think Star Wars also have like a fan guide for anyone that wants to create a Star Wars fan whatever. And I think I kind of appreciate fan artwork, especially when it
Uh-huh.
comes to
Yes.
movie. There was one that was trending about when I think Into the Web, the anime, couple of months ago or last year, I can't remember now, but I kind of saved some on my phone anyway, private use, fair use, fair dealing. would protect me there. But is there like a model that creatives can follow to this conversation of fandom and fan works and intellectual property?
Well, nowadays we see artists and companies with a more open-minded approach to fandom business. I often consult for startups and companies whose business models are created around fandom or solutions for artists and fans. But I wouldn't say that there is a proven standard business model to follow. Much of what's being done is very experimental. The discussions regarding fan relationship management and fandom as a business are somewhat recent as well. So much of what's being done is just people trying and experimenting. And many companies have already found successful ways to nurture and monetize fandoms in certain places or niches, but it does not necessarily work for others that have different features because fandom is also about culture and each culture is different. And this is not the only challenge, I'd say. There are many other challenges to designing a business model to engage with fandoms, including from marketing to user experience to management of data and information, like we said. But mainly, I think it, if you operationalize it too much, if you approach this as formula that can be replicated with fandom, then you will take away from all the things that make a place, right? I think many creators and companies nowadays are approaching this as formula, like release a song, create a TikTok challenge, create a hashtag, share with your fans, ask them to use it, repeat. But it doesn't always work like that. The most loyal, engaged fandoms are driven by organic projects or even projects that are led by the artist, but that make sense for that moment, for that specific context. So fandom culture is about that. Fandom culture is born out of it's human. It's born out of a very human desire to extend a person's interactions with the object of their love. So if you try to standardize it too much, if you try too hard to tell a fan what to do or how to do it, it will not be as fun. And eventually the fans will just move back to their own spaces.
Kind of reminds me of what is happening within the AI industry and copyright works and authors.
Well,
But how do K-pop fans? I mean, now we're getting into K-pop. How do K-pop fans express their love and support for their favorite artists and groups? I mean, when you watch a couple of South Korean series, you feel what the fans feel, and then you start to imagining it happening in real life. So, what is it like for K-pop fans to express their love and support for their favorite artists and groups, and creators?
K-pop. Wow, I love talking about K-pop. So first, I'm not sure if an introduction is needed, but just a brief introduction. K-pop is a package of music performances and visuals and content. So it's not just music; it's a combo, right? It's made
Yeah.
in South Korea. The music is sung mostly in Korean, although it also
Mm.
features English lyrics. I like to call K-pop an industry rather than a genre because it does have an industrial aspect to it, and it has its own culture, its own peculiar traits compared to other pop music industries around the world. So K-pop is not a genre in the sense of having an aesthetic framework such as genres like rap or rock. And this is also something that makes people get so invested in K-pop because there are all of these things going on, right? So it's very entertainment driven. That might sound like an obvious statement, but K-pop is like really committed to make people have a good time. So there are various types of content going on all the time, events, competitions in K-pop culture. It's a very immersive experience. You always be entertained, which is not to say that there isn't meaningful, deeper art being done in K-pop as well. So it's about fun, but it's also about messages that connect with people. And like many other music fans, pop fans, K-pop fans express their love and support through their engagement on social media. Social media is very, very important for K-pop nowadays. And also through supporting the music and buying streaming music, buying the merchandise, attending concerts. But yeah, K-pop culture also has its own traditions. Let's put it like that, like its own ways for fans to support the K-pop idols, things that are very peculiar to K-pop culture, such as fan chants, which is fans singing in between the song lyrics. They have special chants to special words from the lyric, or they just chant the K-pop group's name across the songs. And they also collect photo cards. Photo cards are special cards that come in physical albums. So some fans buy many copies of the same album just so they can get different cards from different members of a K-pop group. And also light sticks. Light K-pop light sticks are light devices that the fans use in concerts and performances, so the whole crowd is light up. Basically, what we see nowadays in concerts from Coldplay, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift. In K-pop, it's done from a very long time ago. Except that in K-pop, it's mostly light devices that are personalized, right? Like each K-pop group has its own light stick with a special design and a special name. So these are more like the physical, the offline ways to engage, but in online spaces, K-pop fans also often create special projects to support their favorite idols, such as streaming parties, birthday projects for K-pop idols, and celebrating commercial milestones through social media posts and special hashtags. There are a lot, but these are a few things that I would say are the most characteristic things about K-pop fandoms and K-pop culture.
What are the types of fan generated content that K-pop fans create and share that can be in other jurisdiction?
I think one type of fan generated content that is very strong in K-pop is fan cams, which are short videos with cuts of performance from K-pop idols, but also special blogs or video with translations and analysis and interpretations of K-pop videos, edited videos and compilations of best moments, and everything like fan art, fan fiction, original content, stories, everything that we're talking about. Like there are many ways for fans to feel even closer to their idols and express their creativities. But when it comes to cultural things about K-pop that I think other industries, other jurisdictions can learn from. Um, as an IP attorney and also as someone who's in marketing, regarding fandom, I think our biggest takeaway is how important it is to be attentive to how each aspect of your business, of your brand, can resonate with your audience and how you can use it in the best way. Like K-pop fans, for example, they care and pay so much attention to their idols, to the things that they put out, to details. And sometimes they may end up identifying opportunities and IPs that even the rights holders don't see the potential, right? Or don't identify it as an IP. So fans are experts on your business. You can learn from them and you should pay attention to that. So fandom is about people. It's about people bonding over a common interest, is about communities. So when we look at it that way, I think there are many takeaways for people who want to start a business or build a brand or protect their business IPs. So I think it all comes down to learn from your audience. K-pop, there's so much we can learn from K-pop fans and how they behave and how the things that they create, they are so original and innovative. So we have to learn from them as well. K-pop fans create a lot of content. They share a lot of content inspired by their favorite K-pop idols and songs. So there's fan art, of course, compilations of videos and best moments, and edited videos of imaginary scenarios featuring K-pop idols, fan fiction, of course, and fan cams. These are very strong traits of K-pop fandoms. Fan cams are short videos with cuts of performances from K-pop performances and idols that fans embed in their posts on social media. But one interesting thing that I noticed, that I love about K-pop fandom, is the blogs and videos with translations of the Korean lyrics and analysis of interpretations as well. Because some K-pop groups have their own lore, their own fictional universe, so usually fans discuss that and post their analysis and fan theories and videos and blog posts. So it's really interesting too, because even though international fans end up learning and absorbing a lot of Korean culture from K-pop, they also create content that showcases K-pop idols in ways that feel closer to the culture of the where the fan is from. For example, you can use a video of an artist dancing and you change the background music for a song from your country in your language, so it makes it look like the artist is dancing to the music of your country. So it's a very funny way, very interesting way for fans to feel even closer to their idols.
Main types of fan-generated content that K-pop fans create and share, such as fan fiction, fan arts, fan videos, and fan translation. Especially now, we have a lot of user-generated content being shared online.
Yeah, it's all of that you said and more. I think one type of fan generated content that is very strong in K-pop is fan cams, right? Which are little short videos with cuts of performances from K-pop idols, and then fans embed these videos in their posts on social media. But there are many other type of content like blogs or videos with translations and analysis and interpretations, because some K-pop groups have their own lore, their own fictional universe. So there's room for a lot of discussion and interpretation, and that's a source of content as well. And many types of videos and compilations, best moment compilations. It's really interesting because even though international fans learn and observe a lot of Korean culture from K-pop, they also use content to make bring these idols closer to their own cultures as well. So they create contents that showcase these K-pop idols in ways that are similar to their culture, like their music, their dances. It's like a way for the fan to feel even closer to their idol. It's really fun. So there's room for a lot of creativity in this regard and lots of content.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know. Do you watch like K dramas? Do you watch K dramas?
Yes, a bit. Yes.
So there's this one that is currently trending, which is My Demon. I know I've seen a lot
Mhm.
of user-generated content around Duduhi's dressing, specifically the lead actress, basically. So I guess that's part of fan-generated works that you were talking about. Or
Yeah.
available platforms that can be used to generate ideas or collaborate with other fans and also be able to distribute this content.
Most of what happens in K-pop spaces takes place on social media or in apps that allow for a more private community chat, such as Discord, for example. Um, it can also happen that the artist and their company have their own app, their own social media, but it's less common, but it's interesting as well. But if you want to know if there is one particular online place where all fandoms gather, the answer is there are many places and channels for that to happen, and it all happens quite organically. Not in K-pop, but one interesting example that we have from this Brazilian singer, Anitta. Their fans created their own app for fans to connect between themselves, right? So there are many possibilities here. There is not one single place, but sometimes the fans might want to have their own particular place and create that. So that happens.
Well, very interesting. Kind of like a digital networking platform for the
Yes.
fans.
Uh-huh.
So, say are the intellectual property rights and issues that K-pop fans need to be aware of and also respect when creating um, and using fan content.
I could say that K-pop fans have to worry no more or less than any other music fan when it comes to using works that are protected by IP. But
Okay.
maybe I can't really say that, because one thing that is different in K-pop is that some K-pop companies have a very tough and strict policy towards IP infringement. They take it very seriously. So your content may be taken down if it features elements that are protected by IP, such as videos or music. But other than that, it's just the same general rule, which is unless it's in the public domain, which could not be the case for K-pop content, or unless it is fair use, you need authorization to use a work protected by copyrights or even trademarks or other IPs. These are the main challenges.
Okay, so authorization from the agency and the IP owners.
Yeah, the right
Um,
holders of the
okay then. So how can one deal with any legal or ethical challenges that comes with using original works or images and names of K-pop artists? And
pop is a very fan oriented industry, and it's complicated when a company in an industry like that has to take action against a fan. But like I said, IP is a very serious topic in K-pop. They take it very seriously, and K-pop companies will use different tactics to prevent IP infringement or to deal with that once it is done. So I don't know of any case of a K-pop company suing a fan or taking any big serious action against a fan. The company will take action against third parties who use K-pop groups' names, photos, and content, because many people do that, right? Many companies sell products that are not licensed. They create products using a K-pop idol's name or image to target their fans. And more than just IP infringement, this can also constitute what we call unfair competition, right? Or parasitism. So, in order to stop malicious people from doing that, the rights holders of the IP may take it to court, right? And it's worth noting that some legal precedents in Korea regarding unfair competition and infringement of IP and publicity rights were set because of K-pop. So
wow,
K-pop is definitely moving forward discussions around these issues in Korea.
interesting to see that K-pop is influencing a lot of precedents when it comes
It
to
is.
very insightful. So how then can K-pop fans use their fan content to empower themselves and others, especially when you're talking about women, queer fans, and also in reflection of their own social, political interests and identities?
That's a great question. First, let me say that I'm really glad that you asked that. It's a great question. Because ultimately, if we're talking about the global entertainment industry, we're talking
Yeah.
about discussions that for decades they were centered on pop stars and entertainment from the United States, right? Or sometimes Europe, and mostly centering white people or uh, I don't know, attending to very heteronormative patterns. So there used to be not a lot of diversity. So
Mhm.
I would say 100% the popularity of K-pop is one of the reasons why that is changing. I wouldn't say it's the main one, but it's one of the reasons, definitely. So when a group like BTS in 2018 had an album with Korean songs topping the charts in the United States. That's so powerful. And I always say that that was a turning point for many other changes to come in the music industry when it comes to having more people of color, more diversity in culture, and more languages being seen and heard. And it's interesting to think about the place of the woman, right, the female fan in fostering all of that, because the demographics for K-pop fandoms are very diverse, but a few statistics show that they are nevertheless spaces dominated by women. So they are female-dominated spaces, and nowadays the newer generation of K-pop groups is also dominated by female groups like IVE and aespa, which is so great. But even with the success of male K-pop artists like BTS or ATEEZ or EXO, it's not only female fans, but it's mainly the female fans that are making that happen. So I think the story of the international success of K-pop is also the story of the power of female communities. Right? Women elevating the things that they like, fighting for the music that they like to be played in their radios, and women embracing their interest and not being ashamed of that.
Mm.
Because female fans in entertainment spaces are so frequently shamed and ridiculed for liking what they like, for being vocal about the thing that they like. And many K-pop female fans find in K-pop that safe space, that comfort, either if what they're seeking is just fun, or they just like K-pop because it makes them feel good, feel accepted or understood. And you said the queer fans, so it's similar for queer fans as well, non-binary fans, black fans, neurodivergent fans, and many others that may find it hard to feel included in society. So K-pop may be a safe space for these people. And I believe that happens because the place of the fan in K-pop is so much more active, much proactive. Their engagement and participation is such an important condition to K-pop. So it ends up being in an environment in which you feel more compelled to express yourself and not be ashamed of who you are. And this is really important for minoritized groups of people.
Oh, very insightful. So when you were, sharing your insight, it kind of reminded me of, I think it's called My Private Life, where she was so into a K-pop fan, and it was a K-pop fan and heading one of these groups, and it, most of the group members were females. So you can count the number of guys who go out to show their love and admiration for male K-pop artists out there. And yeah, I think I understand perfectly what you just said in relation to that question. But how then do you use how can K-pop fan leverage on the potential of IP and fandom to create original content?
I think the biggest way in which fans add value to intellectual property in K-pop is by how much they appreciate and respect the efforts of all the creatives and all the performers involved. K-pop fans usually want to know who wrote the song, who produced the song, what an artist meant to say with that lyric. How can we best convey that feeling when we are translating that lyric to a different language? And it all reflects in the fan generated content as well, because it's through content that the fans share information and opinions about the stories of the K-pop artists, the music, the videos. That's where the fan theories are shared, and it all contributes to the fandom getting closer and sometimes bigger as well, because many new fans join a fandom through this type of content. So fan compilations, I would say, are no doubt among the biggest entry ways for new fans in K-pop fandoms.
Fantastic. So how can one transform fan content into professional content, such as publishing fan fiction, adaptations of fan acts, or translation, like you previously mentioned, or licensing a fan merchandise?
A nice, cool question. And I think it's worth saying that many fans are artists themselves, right? They are writers, or they're in tech, they're in marketing. I mean, before fans, they're also humans with skills and jobs. So in
True.
fan spaces, it's natural for some of these fans to just use the skills that they already have to create something or to express their love for their idols. Um, Even though these projects may remain as a hobby or just a fan thing, but they may also escalate into becoming a little business and a source of income. So there are artists that take commissions to create fan art. They create personalized fan art by demand, or some sell crochet or clothing. They create their own e-commerce. In the BTS army, the fandom of BTS, there's even a case of a fan that started her own publishing company just to publish books about BTS. So it can turn into a very serious
Wow.
business. And I would definitely say that this this entrepreneurial side, this business savvy side, is one of the characteristics of modern fandom, right? Because in an era where technology and social media make it easier for people to start a business, and fandom provides a space for people to express themselves and express their creativity,
Mm.
it's It's only natural, right, that a personal experience such as being a fan may eventually intertwine with someone's professional life. So that's why it happens so much.
Wow, really insightful. So I think I should consider a second career now, being a K-pop enthusiast and branch into the use of tech and social media. How can one transform fan content into professional content, such as publishing fan fiction, adaptations of fan acts, or translation, like you previously mentioned, or licensing a fan merchandise?
A nice, cool question. And I think it's worth saying that many fans are artists themselves, right? They are writers, or they're in tech, they're in marketing. I mean, before fans, they're also humans with skills and jobs. So in
True.
fan spaces, it's natural for some of these fans to just use the skills that they already have to create something or to express their love for their idols. Um, Even though these projects may remain as a hobby or just a fan thing, but they may also escalate into becoming a little business and a source of income. So there are artists that take commissions to create fan art. They create personalized fan art by demand, or some sell crochet or clothing. They create their own e-commerce. In the BTS army, the fandom of BTS, there's even a case of a fan that started her own publishing company just to publish books about BTS. So it can turn into a very serious
Wow.
business. And I would definitely say that this this entrepreneurial side, this business savvy side, is one of the characteristics of modern fandom, right? Because in an era where technology and social media make it easier for people to start a business, and fandom provides a space for people to express themselves and express their creativity,
Hmm.
it's only natural, right, that a personal experience such as being a fan may eventually intertwine with someone's professional life. So that's why it happens so much.
Wow, really insightful. So I think I should consider a second career now, being a K-pop enthusiast and branch into the use of tech and social media. What would you say are trends that other jurisdictions, because I'm based in Nigeria, Nigeria's in Africa. So what can
Mhm.
other countries learn from the fandom culture when it comes to K-pop?
Well, as an IP attorney, but also as someone who's in marketing, I would say regarding fandom, I think our biggest takeaway is how important it is to be attentive to how each aspect of your business, of your brand, resonates with your audience, and how you can use it in the best way. So um, fans care and pay so much attention to their idols, to details in the works they engage with. And sometimes they may end up identifying opportunities and IPs that even the rights holders don't see. So fans
True.
are experts on your business, so you can learn from them, and you should pay attention to that, right? Because fandom is about people. It's about people bonding over a common interest. It's about communities, and communities that you join, not because you should, but because by choice, right? You belong to these communities by
Yeah.
choice and by affinity. So fans may not be satisfied in just consuming a product. So when we look at it that way, I think there are many takeaways for people who want to start a business, or build a brand, or protect their business IPs. So I think it all comes down to learn to learn from your audience, right? I think it all comes down to that.
Wow. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
so because of how K-pop has grown and how fandom keeps evolving, what would you say are like the dispute resolution strategies, or the best dispute resolution mechanism that a K-pop person or anyone in the industry, whether it's for film or music or whatever work out there, can explore when there's like a let's say when a boundary has exceeded, when a fan decides to encroach into the space of the K-pop involved.
You mean from the fan point of view or from the business
I,
owner point of view?
I would say both. So from the fan point of view and then the business angle. I think more on the business angle than the fan angle.
Yeah, I think when we're thinking about fans, it's important to know that the fan is not just a buyer or a customer, right? It's something that's a
Yeah.
bit deeper than just the commerce relationship. So it's about consumers who are interested in on a different level, and so there are many organic efforts that you can make to nurture such a community, um, but there is a bit of strategy as well that can be employed. Like it requires some type of understanding of the audience that you want to reach, gathering data, and once you have that data, you're able to develop better products and strategies to interact with your fans, and even decide the best channels of distribution to pricing and everything else. I think it's a matter of understanding very well the type of environment that you are in, the type of community that you want to create and attract. Not sure that answers your question, but yeah, there's not one specific formula for that.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.
I'm grateful to you for coming back again to do this recording. I hope you had a good time with us here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so in wrapping up, how can a listener reach out to you? How can a listener reach out to you if they want to learn more about K-pop, fandom, and fan related work?
Yeah, I can be found on LinkedIn, Ana Clara Ribeiro, and hopefully you can check my articles, my blog posts, the articles that I've published as well. So there's that. I blog a lot. I write for a few websites as well. So I'm very spread all over. So, but you can find me on LinkedIn, Ana Clara Ribeiro. I'm there. Come and say hi.
Thank you. And that's how I got to meet Anna as well. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today. And yeah, it's a wrap from
I believe at the end of listening to this episode, you will agree with me that fandoms are not just passive consumers of music and media. They are active participants who create and share various types of contents such as fan art, fan fiction, fan videos, fan edits, fan translation, and many more. Now, the most interesting thing is these are inspired by or based on original works of K-pop artists and agency. And like Anna has explained in this episode, I hope that we've all learned a thing of two. If you have any comments, question, or feedback, feel free to reach out to either myself or Anna on on our social media channel. And if you're a creative currently listening to me, this is the right time to tap into the fandom culture. I am your host, Rita Anrichinda. I will see you next time. Bye for now.